Hello, it's me, Recky. Welcome back for another severe weather reaction. And we're gonna go to Storm Stories, the Weather Channel. And we're gonna go to Lone Grove, Oklahoma. And this is what it says in the description. And it's quite horrible, to be honest. A total of 6 tornadoes appeared throughout Oklahoma in February 2009, but the most powerful of these destroyed the town of Lone Grove without mercy. And that is just horrible to hear. But we're gonna watch it. And if you haven't checked out the channel, the Weather Channel, don't forget to go there and give them the support that they so much deserve. You find the link for both the video and for the channel. If you do enjoy this, don't forget to smack the like and, of course, hit that subscribe. That's something I would greatly, greatly appreciate. A big thank you to everyone who supports me on Patreon and channel membership. Thank you. Amazing support. A big shout out to the Supreme Tier donators who are by Patreon, of course, on channel membership. Thank you. Personal shout outs goes to the ultimate supporters: Deja, Walt, Dwayne, Dana, Troy, Robert, Matt, Barbara, Kathy, and Sarah. Amazing list right there. If you want to join them, click join and become a member, or check out the coolest link ever pinned on top of all the other comments. And that will be the end of it. Now, Storm Stories will keep us company for about 22 minutes.
Oh my God!
They call this Tornado Alley for a reason.
We got it on the ground, Dave. It just hit just a huge flash.
This is horrible. It's at night, it's moving at 40 miles per hour. That's when I had a small pit in my stomach.
I was just screaming at my kids to get inside the house, get down to the basement.
I remember just praying, just save us.
From the Weather Channel, this is Storm Stories with meteorologist Jim Cantori.
I just want to point out, on my other monitor, I actually search. If you see me typing, I will probably maybe pause the video, but sometimes I'm maybe not pausing the video. It's me just turning a metric system translate, because I don't know the imperial system. I should definitely, because I've been doing this for a very long time. But if you see me typing, it's because I want to know definitely regarding miles per hour going to, the metric system. So that's just a heads up.
Without a doubt, Oklahomans know weather. Blistering summer heat waves, ice storms in winter, and torrents of rain causing floods that can strike in the spring and fall. Oklahomans like to say, if you don't like the weather, just wait a minute and it'll change. But no one jokes about one of the most terrifying events that dip out of the sky here, the ones that can sneak up suddenly and shred a town in minutes.
We have great weather, but man, when it goes wrong, sometimes here it's horribly wrong.
Of special concern are twisters that impact urban areas. Take the tornado outbreak of May 3rd, 1999. The most powerful that day.
Now, this is something we have seen.
An EF5 slicing right through the greater Oklahoma City metropolitan area. 36 dead, over 500 injured. It's that kind of nightmare scenario that still haunts local NBC weatherman David Payne. He chased that May twister and witnessed its strength firsthand.
Right now, we're just about a half mile south of Newcastle here. Large tornado just ripped through parts of Newcastle. Right now, we're just about a half mile south of Newcastle here.
Look at this. Isn't that a haunting image? Like, look at that. He's pointing at that bad boy over there.
Tornado just ripped through parts of Newcastle.
Nearly 10 years later, while poring over the weather data for Tuesday, February 10th, 2009, Payne sees some eerie reminders of that horrible May day.
It was all going to try to come together. It was going to be pretty close to Oklahoma City. I mean, it was going to be probably in our backyard.
It turns out Oklahoma City is among the most tornado-prone cities in America. That's because of its geographic proximity to the Gulf of Mexico, which fuels...
This is probably the shittiest place when it comes to living, when it comes to tornadoes. If I'm not completely wrong, you got the moist heat coming from Gulf of Mexico. Over here, you got cold air from the mountains. So that's just a steaming pile of holy crap.
Low-level moisture and the Rocky Mountains, which block moisture and atmospheric flow.
Our worst case scenario in Oklahoma
Oh.
City, anything that develops to the west or southwest of the metro, we are wide open.
And while Payne knows that February tornadoes are extremely rare in Oklahoma, all the warning signs are there. It is looking like this outbreak could be a killer. Sadly, he will turn out to be right.
The storm looked like a classic supercell that we see in the month of May. The velocity data was off the charts.
Local NBC helicopter pilot and reporter Jim Gardner first hears about the possibility of tornadoes that morning.
They said, hey, we're going to be storm chasing. I'm saying, what? You know, it's February. No, surely not.
Surely, yes. By early afternoon, the first signs of a possible tornado developed to the southwest of Oklahoma City.
It's February, middle of the afternoon. Kids are still at school. People are still at work. I have a storm that's beginning to rotate, and it's headed right into Oklahoma City. It's worst case scenario.
The National Weather Service issues its first tornado warning at 2:17 p.m. And 20 minutes later, a full-fledged twister is on the ground.
So that's kind of rare. How rare is it in a February tornado? But he said something. I want to go back.
The National Weather Service issues its first tornado warning at 2:17 p.m. And 20 minutes later, a full-fledged twister is on the ground.
Went up like a house on fire. Went up super fast, racing northeast at 40 miles per hour. That's when I had a small pit in my stomach.
The location is just on the border of Oklahoma County, with the potential to rip straight across Oklahoma City and its 1 million plus residents. But at first, it's hard for Jim Gardner, now chasing the storm in his helicopter, to get a visual on this monster.
Tornadoes can get rain wrapped. You can't see it, and that's the most dangerous because people, you know, human nature,
Don't see
they
it.
want to go outside and look.
It's not long before there are reports of tornado damage on the ground.
Some significant structural damage here at Rockwell and Northwest Highway.
Tearing through apartment buildings and shopping malls, this fast-moving twister fizzles out after touching down for less than a mile. But it's just an opening act.
Whoa, I got debris in the air, debris in the air, debris in the air.
Within minutes, the storm cycles and intensifies, creating a tornado that's even bigger, about 15 miles to the northeast.
It just hit, just a huge flash.
The rain finally dissipates, and Gardner gets his first good look.
It is growing in intensity, getting bigger in size.
This second tornado is churning its way towards Edmond, Oklahoma's sixth largest city, population 75,000.
You can see the damage. I mean, it was live on the air. You can see the roofs coming off. You can see the trees coming up.
Edmond area firefighter Jay Bartels knows there's a powerful tornado headed directly his way. He grabs his helmet, equipped with a video camera, and heads out the back door of his fire station for a closer look.
That's bad. I'm watching it right now.
As it got closer, started to wonder if we were going to take a direct hit.
He makes a beeline for the safe room inside the station to ride out the storm. Meanwhile, Edmond resident Lisa Hilgen is packing for an upcoming trip, unaware of the danger heading her way.
I came into the kitchen to make some phone calls, and I saw a text from my daughter. She said the school was in lockdown because of the tornado warning.
Lisa rushes to the storm cellar out in the yard.
When I went outside, the wind wasn't that bad, so I thought, oh, this isn't going to be anything.
Still, she gets inside the cellar.
Everything was still. I thought, uh-oh, this isn't good. Right.
Being aware of something like that coming towards you, and you go out and it's completely silent, it's completely still, would be, for me, hauntingly freaking me out. It would be completely terrifying.
Right after that, this horrendous wind, my ears were popping. You can just feel the force behind it.
Just as quickly as the storm arrives, it's over. But Lisa realizes her ordeal is not over.
I said, wait, let me try the door, and it wouldn't budge at all.
Just a few miles to the northeast, Julie LeBlanc is driving home with her 4 young children, trying to make it back before the full force of this ferocious storm hits. She's picking up her neighbor's dog when the tornado catches up to her and her kids.
My 7-year-old started to panic and scream, and that's when I looked and realized the tornado was at the house behind us. You could actually see objects swirling around.
Julie jumps in the car and races all the way back to her own house. the twister chasing her all the way.
It just felt like it was pulling you out of the garage. I was just screaming at my kids to get inside the house, get down to the basement.
Cowering inside the basement with her children, Julie is horrified by the sounds coming from above.
It sounded like a growling monster. The whole time, I didn't think that we were going to make it. I was in the storm shelter screaming that we were all going to die.
After moments that feel like an eternity, the monster does go away, ripping apart homes all around them. And the terror the tornado leaves in its wake proves lasting.
It was very scary. It probably took me 2 days to stop shaking.
Watching the storm coverage on television, Edmond police officer Rocky Yardley is worried.
We're going to need quite a few rescue units to the northwestern and western sides of Edmond.
There was no doubt this was the real thing, even though it was early in the year.
He and his 16-year-old son, Max, set out to search for victims. Finding a neighborhood that's taken a direct hit, Rocky and Max stumble on a mystery. It's Lisa Hilgen's damaged house, with the lights and television on, but no one home. They go out to search the yard.
I didn't know if I would come across someone that was dead or, severely injured.
Down in her storm shelter, Lisa can hear Rocky and Max's voices, but for some reason, they're not responding to her cries for help. In there for almost an hour, she is starting to get worried.
So I said, why can't they find me? I'm right here.
She decides she needs to make some louder noise.
I had a hammer in there, so I started banging on the bottom side of the door.
But Rocky is ready to move on. There are other neighborhoods that need to be searched. He and Max are about to leave.
At that time, I heard a knocking.
I thought it might just be the wind whipping up a cable on the side of the house or something.
Max is sure it's something or someone. He insists they keep searching.
I finally found the spot where it was located.
But the area is covered with damaged trees and bits of people's houses. It's impossible to locate the source of the noise.
We thought that someone could have been under the debris.
We cleaned off the debris and noticed the storm shelter door.
Opening the door, they find a very relieved Lisa.
Thank you. She said that a lot. She was just glad to be out of there.
I can't say enough about him and his father and all the other people that came.
It's a happy ending on a day that won't end well for every Oklahoman. Firefighter Jay Bartels, still wearing his helmet camera, is also searching for people who might need help. What he finds instead is pure devastation.
Homes totally flattened, roofs ripped off of them, buildings just twisted up and bent up.
By sundown, 5 twisters in all, the strongest in EF2, have ripped across the state. Amazingly, there are...
I understand. He said EF2. Was it? Did he say EF2?
Buildings just twisted up and bent up.
By sundown, 5 twisters in all, the strongest in EF2, have ripped across the state. Amazingly, there are no deaths or major injuries.
Wow.
I'm thinking, okay. We've had a horrible day so far. Maybe this will quiet things down for a while.
But Mother Nature has one more surprise in store, and this one will be deadly.
Look at the upward motion on this thing.
Yeah, no, wow.
I was actually under the impression that that was it. All right, that was the EF2 coming in, ripping shit. Now, Mother Nature said, well, here's another one.
February 10th, 2009. A string of afternoon tornadoes, the strongest in EF2, have ripped through the greater Oklahoma City metro area and nearby Edmond. There is heavy property damage, but no deaths or major injuries. Everyone is breathing a sigh of relief.
Biggest adrenaline rush I've had in quite some time, to be honest.
But Mother Nature still has one more surprise in store, this time for the residents of southern Oklahoma. It's just after 6 o'clock in the evening. Lone Grove resident Steve Franks, an amateur weather buff, is online at home monitoring the thunderstorms in his area.
I was kind of watching this one cell that was moving up from Texas.
But he and his wife Sherry aren't thinking about tornadoes. After all, it's February. They don't believe tornadoes are in season.
It just seemed too far-fetched for it to really happen.
Looking at the storm's radar that evening, it doesn't take long for Steve's opinion to change.
Well, it started hooking. I've always heard if you see a hook, there's probably a tornado.
To the north in Oklahoma City, local NBC weatherman David Payne is also keeping an eye on the radar, and he knows trouble when he sees it.
There was a fairly substantial hole where that tornado was, and it told me that it was pretty wide. Half-mile wide. This is bad.
At 10 minutes to 7, the twister touches down just east of Petersburg, Oklahoma. Moving at a pace of 40 miles per hour, it's bearing down on the city of Lone Grove, population 5,000. But Steve still wants to see it to believe it. He and his nephew head outdoors.
It's dark, so you had to wait till the lightning flash to see anything. I was thinking, man, I want to see it, I want to see it. It flashed again, and I saw it, and it was big.
Knowing the tornado is almost on top of them, Steve and his nephew start running.
I was hollering for my wife, let's get to the creek.
The frank safety plan? To head for a sewer drain buried in a dry creek near their home. Still inside, Sherry hears him, but is having trouble finding her shoes.
I went to every room, and by that time I was frantic, knowing that the sounds was getting louder.
When the electricity goes out, she knows she's out of time. She grabs her dog and hunkers down in the hallway.
It was just so overpowering with the roar that was coming through. And the whole time that I was in the hall, of course, I was screaming, and I was crying, and I was praying.
Down in the sewer drain, Steve isn't so sure he is going to survive the fury of this storm either.
I've never heard anything that loud. It does sound like a train, but it sounds like a few trains, not just one, and they're right on you.
Nearby at the Bar-K Mobile Home Park, Brenda Morrison has refused her daughter Tracy's plea to go to a storm shelter.
I told her, I said, you know, we've been through tornadoes, warnings and stuff, and nothing's never happened.
When the lights start to flicker, she heads to the front door to investigate.
When it lightened, I seen that tornado coming at me. I slammed the door and run back to my bedrooms.
Her improvised plan, to climb underneath her mattress and ride things out under there. But the tornado has other ideas.
I got knocked down before I even got a chance to lift the mattress.
The force of the fall knocks her out. When she comes to, it's totally dark and she can't move.
I thought, you know, there can't be that much stuff on top of me. And I was trying to push up. It wouldn't budge.
She hears people outside searching, but no one is coming to her rescue. She wonders how she will ever get out alive.
I was really upset, real scared. I thought, man, I got to get out of here.
Back at Steve and Sherry Frank's house, the storm has passed, but neither one knows if the other has survived.
I said, I got to see about Sherry. I jumped out and I was really shocked of the destruction.
I knew they had headed for the creek, so I was just praying, God protect them.
And I saw Sherry was at the door hollering for me, and I was hollering for her. And
I was so glad to see him.
Only later will Steve and Sherry learn just how lucky they've been.
The house up the hill was taken away. There was houses behind us that was taken away.
It's made me realize that a tornado can happen anytime. It doesn't matter when.
So basically, they were the lucky ones because, let's face it, if that tornado were actually go on and hit their trailer, she wouldn't be here to talk about it. That's one thing for sure.
At the Bar-K Mobile Home Park up the road, Brenda Morrison is still trapped inside her collapsed home. Somehow in all the chaos, she's managed to hang onto her cell phone and flashlight.
Tried to call the police department, couldn't get through. Tried to call the fire department, couldn't get through. So I thought, well, I'll get home my daughter, and she has a better chance of getting hold of people than me.
She got through to me and said that the tornado had hit and she was trapped in the house. I started screaming and freaking out and was thinking, I've got to get to my mom.
But Tracy can't get back to the house. She's at a city storm shelter and authorities won't let her leave. Over at the Lone Grove Fire Department, Assistant Fire Chief Curtis Cott knows it's going to be a long night spent searching for victims.
We knew we had people hurt, possibly dead. Our chief asked me and another firefighter to go to the Lahoma Trailer Park, and there was a lady trapped.
The whole time, Tracy stays on the phone with her mom.
All I kept telling her is me and my daughter love her, and you know that I wanted her to hold up.
When Cott reaches the scene, he's amazed by what he sees.
Ooh.
Got there was a lady in a house with another house laying on top of it.
To reach Brenda, he and another firefighter tunnel under an estimated 12 feet of debris that could collapse at any time.
I was more worried about her than us. She'd been there a lot longer than we had been.
Carefully, the firefighters worked to shore up the collapsed debris surrounding Brenda.
We was sliding bricks in and stacking them up and shoring up with 2x4s. Started lifting the house up. She started kind of getting panicky. Things started cracking and popping and moving.
He was holding my hand. You know, everything's gonna be fine. Just stay calm. Don't move around.
Finally, they managed to get Brenda out. And amazingly, she only has a few bruises.
I figured at least I might get a broken arm or a leg chopped off or something, you know, because that one trailer was on top of me, but I was lucky.
I'm just glad I have my mom. Everything else is material.
It's another close call on a night when others aren't so lucky. The twister has claimed lives and caused dozens of injuries. And it isn't done yet. In Ardmore, more than 10 miles to the northeast, Rick and Susan Pack are aware of the tornado threat. But their local TV station says it's not a concern for their area.
They said that there was a tornado south of Lone Grove, about 25 miles, and that Ardmore wasn't in the path.
Up in Oklahoma City, their son Wes, watching TV with his girlfriend Ashley at a local restaurant, is getting different information.
They showed on the TV the projected path of the storm, and so I walked over to the TV and noticed that it was headed right for my parents' house.
A powerful tornado, unusual in the month of February, is blasting its way through southern Oklahoma, leaving a path of destruction stretching across 40 miles. Rick and Susan Pack, residents of Ardmore, believe they are well out of the danger zone. But their son Wes, up in Oklahoma City, is watching televised reports that put his parents' house squarely in the path of the storm. He calls to alert them.
He said, "Mom, did you and Dad know that the weather's real bad in Ardmore?" Well, it wasn't too much longer. Wes called again, and he says, "Mom," he said, "it's really getting bad."
So the local TV station actually says that. Don't worry about it.
Urgency that he had, we got to move on.
The Packs quickly head outdoors to their storm shelter, where they're met by some of their neighbors. Just then, the tornado sirens sound. They hurry underground.
I don't think it was much more than 10 minutes or so before the thing actually hit.
Wow.
The sound of a killer tornado, half a mile wide, is bearing down on them with all its force.
You're just powerless over it. There's nothing you can do.
I had the sensation that we were going to be sucked out of that thing. You're afraid you're going to lose your life.
I remember just praying, just save us.
It's a harrowing experience, and they have no idea what they'll find once it's over. When it finally quiets down, they climb out of their shelter, emerging into total darkness.
All we really had was just a little handheld battery lantern, and it only illuminated about 3 or 4 feet. I walked the walls out, and then I went over and held it up, and you could see that where the house used to be was just gone.
In the morning, a full picture of the devastation emerges.
So the kitchen was right here, dining room.
The Pack's dream house, filled with 17 years of memories, has been wiped off the map by this ferocious storm.
To look at the place, you'd never know that was our home.
I guess you're in shock. You don't really know what to think.
But the Packs know there are other victims of this tornado who have paid an even higher price.
I just remember that feeling like, God spared my life and we're all okay. Today, my children still have parents. We have another chance. And there's people that don't.
The twister has claimed 8 lives. Dozens more are injured. That day, meteorologists from the National Weather Service survey the damage. Their analysis determines this was indeed one of the most powerful twisters, NEF4. And it's at the home of Rick and Susan Pack, who almost didn't get to their shelter in time, that meteorologists believe the storm reached its full fury, with estimated winds of 180 miles per hour.
If this was only an EF4 and it did what it did, God forbid, what would an EF5 be like? I can't imagine that there's something stronger than that out there.
He said 180 miles per hour. That's around 110. Holy crap.
February tornadoes in Oklahoma are considered rare, with only 50.
He said 100. No, That's just incredible amount of that's an EF4, but that got to be close to an EF5, right?
Recorded in the last 59 years. But on February 10th, 2009, a total of 6 tornadoes ripped across the state. And the last one, an EF4, is Oklahoma's strongest and deadliest February tornado to date. 8 people killed, 46 injured, 114 homes destroyed.
Right out the gate, it's been a bad year.
David Payne sees hallmarks of another bad tornado year that got off to an early start.
This year kind of reminds us a little bit of 1991, and that was a really big year in Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, and Texas.
But like this surprising twister outbreak, it's anyone's guess what Mother Nature has in store. For the Weather Channel, I'm meteorologist Jim Cantori. Your local forecast is next.
I gotta say that I cannot really comprehend 180 miles per hour. That's 289 kilometers per hour, and that I cannot understand that. That's NASCAR stuff right there. And it's blowing my mind. That got to be close to an EF5, isn't it? I know that there's some kind of, what do you call it? Is it above this, then it's going to be an EF2, etc., or whatever you would call it, because I can't speak for some reason. But that was incredible amount of speed, and I am completely blown away by that. And that poor little town, and sometimes I got to hold it together, because it's listen to people suffering devastation like this, or people losing their lives. It really gets to me. But it was a wonderful and a great documentary, again, about something that maybe you never heard about. Storm Stories of Lone Grove, and a shout out to everyone in Lone Grove, Oklahoma, that was there 2009 February off season for tornadoes. If you did enjoy this, don't forget to smack the like, and of course hit that subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And thank you so much for watching. I'm Recky. You stay safe.